Hi everyone. It all started to fall apart when my 15-year-old daughter Shelly received one of those DNA kits for Christmas. I don't even remember who gave it to her. She was all excited as she carefully filled out all of the submission requirements and mailed it in. 6 weeks later, the results finally came back and she was not happy. Donna and I quietly sat in the living room reading when our daughter decided to vocalize her discontent. We couldn't make out the actual words, but things were not going well. After 15 minutes or so, she stormed out of her room and announced that she was going over to her girlfriend's house. Donna reminded her to be home by supper time as she rushed out of the door. I sat there with an amused grin on my face and noticed that Donna seemed a bit more concerned. We both just shrugged and went on with our reading. Donna and I got married 18 years ago, right after I finished my residency. After 5 years, I was considered the leading gallbladder surgeon in the Tri-County area. I had all the work I could handle and life was good. And then it all went to hell. We were attending a social affair sponsored by Donna's company Gilbert Enterprises when I had some type of seizure which left me with some Parkinson-like neurological tics. It wasn't Parkinson's, but it appeared to be similar. I had a constant tic in my right eye and my lower right arm would twitch sporadically at inopportune moments. They never did figure out exactly what it was. And for some reason, I was so glad that I was just still functional at all that I didn't pursue it any further. My days as a surgeon were over, however, so I found a new position as a radiologist. 9 months later, Shelly was born. Things seemed to move along as well as could be expected. I was not happy with my new affliction, but I was still fully functioning in most areas. I did very well in my new medical position and the compensation was still quite adequate. My home life and my intimate life did not suffer. In fact, Donna seemed to be a bit more accommodating. She turned into a sort of step-forward wife. I figured that she felt a bit guilty because I had my seizure while we were at one of her company functions. In any event, I was enjoying her extra attention, so I didn't complain. I truly loved the woman. We lived that way for 15 years. Donna, any ideas why Shelly got so upset about the ancestry thing? I have no clue. I do think that it is best if we just let it slide. I am sure that she will get over it in a few days no matter what it is. Something about the way that she said that did not sit right with me. I got the feeling that she was trying to divert me away from it without looking obvious. I just smiled and nodded my head. I didn't get much reading done the rest of the evening, but I did a hell of a lot of thinking. I tried to relate Shelly's attitude with anything else that might be going on, but nothing popped up. Other than the normal squabbles that all families have, we were in good shape. No money difficulties, no problems in the bedroom, and definitely nothing that could relate to our daughter. I had to get a look at that DNA report. Donna left for work at Gilbert and Shelly went to school. I stayed home. I found what I was looking for in her study desk drawer. Donna's family is mostly Irish and mine is mostly Scottish with a bit of German tossed in. It seemed that Shelly was 48% Eastern European. I had to laugh a little at the poor quality of the report. As I read further, I noted that there was a list of close matches. Of course, Donna's name was right up top, but my name was nowhere on the list. There were also a few names of relatives from Donna's side of the family, but none of mine. I guessed that the only people that would show up on the list were people who had actually had their DNA documented. Donna, Shelly, and I had ours done 5 years ago as part of an annual physical. Mine should have been on there if Donna's was. I was starting to get concerned, and then I noted a strange name high up on the list. Teresa Hagen was a 46% match. Who the hell was Teresa Hagen? Dr. McCall, this is John Terrell. Yes, John. Good to hear from you. Is everything okay? Yeah, no problems. I still have that damn twitch in the eye tick. But other than that, I am fine. However, I have a small question. A few years ago, you took DNA samples from all of us for our medical records. Could you check something for me? What do you need? I am trying to figure out if there are any glitches in the DNA results between Shelly and myself. Glitches? What do you mean by glitches? Look, doctor, this is embarrassing. But I am trying to find out if Shelly is my biological daughter or not. I don't want to stir up any trouble. I just need to know. Oh shit. Pardon my French, John, you know you have access to all those files. You could check it yourself. I know, but I would prefer if you did it. Let me pull up the files and I will get back to you. Okay? Give me an hour. Thanks, doctor. I really do appreciate it. I think that Donna could tell that I was troubled. Dr. McCall verified that I was not Shelley's father. I did not tell Donna. For the last 3 days, I have been trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was surprisingly calm about the whole situation, and I was able to think about it without blowing my cool. Took me several days to locate Teresa Hogan. For some reason, I assumed that she would be about Shelley's age. And I felt like I was a stalking pedophile. I finally found her in the white pages under a listing for Malcolm Hogan. Malcolm was my age and lived in Westchester. I assumed that she was his daughter. Malcolm agreed to meet me Saturday morning at a Denny's in Exton. I am not sure that he knew who I was, but I detected a bit of apprehension in his voice. He was early. I was on time. We exchanged formalities. Malcolm, I don't remember ever meeting you before. Have you ever lived in Reading? That brought a slight grimace to his face. He squirmed in his chair a bit as if trying to get comfortable. I worked for Gilbert Enterprises about 15 years ago or so. I believe we met at one of the company functions back then. I left Reading right after that. He seemed relieved to have said it, but still a bit uncomfortable. I take it that you knew my wife, Donna? It was a question phrased as a comment. He didn't answer. He just nodded. Do you know why I am here? Not exactly, but I have a good idea. The few moments of silence were stressful. What took you so long? I just found out. More silence. He let out a deep sigh. I was young. I had been drinking too much and I was caught up in the moment. I know that that was no excuse and I know it was wrong. I think I caved into the peer pressure more than anything else. Donna, your wife, was one of the most fascinating women I had ever met. I knew she was married, but nobody seemed to care at the moment. Who was nobody? He was still squirming a bit. The three of us were from the engineering department, Freddie Springer, Clayton Mankey, and Donna was being extra friendly with all of us and we were having a great time. There were a lot of innuendos going around and some of them were getting serious. Did anybody think about me at all? Donna was constantly looking around to make sure you were not near us. If I remember correctly, you were hanging around with some of the older guys talking about golf. How did this all go off the rails? Freddie was trying to talk Donna into talking some ecstasy. She kept saying no. He was pretty persistent. That was when everything turned to sh***. What does that mean? We were all drunk and we were all horny, including Donna. Freddie asked her one more time, and she sighed and said, "Don't drug me, you idiots. Go drug my husband." After another long pause, I looked at him. "Say that again." She said, "Don't drug me, you idiots. Go drug my husband." That simple phrase has haunted me for the last 15 years or so. It was so cold and so calculating that I couldn't believe it. "What happened next?" I asked. "A few minutes later, Freddie took you a drink. You fell asleep on one of the lounge chairs, and we all went upstairs. It was when we came downstairs an hour later that we found out what happened to you." "What do you mean?" I asked. "It seemed that you had a bad reaction to the drug Freddie gave you, and they had to rush you to the hospital. Donna didn't even know about it until after you were gone. I didn't say anything. First thing Monday morning, I quit Gilbert's and moved back home to Westchester. I got a new job, got married, and now have 3 kids. I have never been back to Reading. I never saw Donna again. I have always regretted what happened, and I am truly sorrowful. I don't know what else I can say or do." I had the waitress bring us a full pot of coffee. "Malcolm, have you ever had one of those ancestry tests done?" "No, but my daughter Teresa did a few years ago." "Anybody else in the family?" "No, just her. She got it as a present." "Why do you ask?" "My daughter Teresa and my daughter Shelley are half-sisters." I watched as Malcolm sat still, not breathing. He finally blinked his eyes and let out a big sigh. I watched him for a few moments until he got some tears in his eyes. His head was slowly shaking from side to side. "Are you okay?" "No, I'm not. The worst night of my life just got worse. I can't believe this is happening. This is going to ruin me and my family. I tried so hard to not let anything like that happen again, and then this one comes back and bites me in the back. How much worse can it get?" We sat quietly for several minutes. "Malcolm, what happened to the other 2 guys?" "Freddie got killed in a crash on the Schuylkill Expressway. Clayton is an alcoholic and lives in a church rectory in Fishtown. I haven't seen him in years. Malcolm, I want to thank you for your time and your honesty. I am not looking for anything else, and I have no desire whatsoever for revenge or retribution. You can relax. I won't be coming after you or exposing you. That is good to hear. But there is another problem here. What about or should I say, my daughter? What if she figures things out and wants to have contact with me? What am I supposed to do? I don't want to hurt or embarrass anybody. Any suggestions? I'll help you any way that I can. I won't initiate anything, but if it comes up, I will be on your side whatever happens. I am not a vindictive man. I am not happy with what happened, but I am not going to ruin my life dwelling on it. Just in case, you might want to prepare your wife so that you don't get caught flat-foot. My everyday life became miserable. Every time my arm twitched or my eye blinked, I was reminded of my wife's treachery. Every time she was overly nice or accommodating, I cringed. Like Malcolm, she carried the guilt with her for 15 years. For all those 15 years, I loved her because of what I perceived to be her devotion. Now I know that it was not devotion, but guilt. I felt that I could forgive Malcolm, but not Donna. My love for my wife was dying little by little every day. It was starting to eat me up. I had to do something before it was too late. Finally, I did something. Hi, my name is Lena Durante. Welcome to Hospital de Santa Marta. You must be John Terrell. I had been in Porto for a week, but this was my first visit to the hospital cafeteria. I made a clumsy attempt to stand up and held out my hand to greet my unexpected guest. This caused her to giggle a bit. May I join you? I just nodded as she sat. She wasn't what I would call beautiful, but she was damn attractive for a middle-aged woman. So you are the new reader? Glad to see you as part of the team. Have you gotten settled in? She was obviously a local, but spoke perfect English, as did most of the staff. Yes, everything is coming along fine. I got a furnished condo within walking distance of the hospital. All I have to do now is find a few good places to eat close by. Oh good, I can help you with that. I am an expert at finding places to eat. She did a great job of breaking the ice. What department do you work in, Lena? I am a neurosurgeon. I am sure that we will be working together regularly. I understand that you have much experience. Pretty much across the board. I will be reading all the X-rays, CT scans, MRIs, mammograms, and ultrasound, as well as tea leaves on occasion. That got me a small laugh. Have you always done that? No. I am sure that you have noticed my eye tick and the twitch in my right hand. Before my affliction, I did laparoscopic gallbladder surgery. Switching over to radiology allowed me to continue working. I feel that I am still able to contribute. What exactly was the affliction? I never really did find out. There was a lot of discussion and a lot of conjecture, but never anything definite. I felt that everybody was being evasive. I tried pinning it down a few times and got frustrated, so I just quit. Enough chit-chat. I have to get back to work. I get off at 6. I'll pick you up here and we will explore your first dining experience. You're working straight days, right? I smiled and nodded. Lena Durante was unmarried. I didn't ask why or explore the subject further. After a month, I was comfortable enough with her to explain my marital status. The fact that I was still married did not seem to bother her. 2 weeks later, she started staying overnight at my condo. Life was good. I had no contact with my wife or my daughter. My relationship with Donna got cooler and cooler before I left, although she kept trying to keep it together. The problem was all on my side. She tried to get me to explain what was wrong, and I never did. Shelley became completely withdrawn. I tried to keep that relationship going, but she killed it. It got to the point where we barely talked at all. She never explained what her displeasure with me was. I didn't ask, but I think it was pretty obvious that it was connected to that damn DNA test. I didn't tell Donna that I was leaving. I simply left her a power of attorney to sell the house and took half of our savings. She had a good job and would have no problem supporting herself and Shelley. I am sure that she would end up selling the house. I also left my wedding ring. Let her figure it out. Donna never tried to find me or contact me. If she did know where I was not aware of it. John, I set aside a time slot to see you at 9 a.m. Friday in my clinic. It's a routine thing, so don't get too excited about it. Lena was trying to be casual. That doesn't make sense, and you know it. What is going on? It's the ITIC thing, John. I just want to check it out a bit. Don't you think that you should get an ophthalmologist? Dr. Perez will be there. He is the best we have. We are not going to do anything. Just look around. Lena, I don't trust you. I know bulls **T when I smell it. Just shut up, John. Be there at 9. Well, Dr. Perez was not there. There was an anesthesiologist there, however. And before I knew it, I was fast asleep. Lena was sitting on my bed when I recovered. She was grinning at my obvious displeasure. Are you mad at me, John? I didn't quite feel like talking, so I just grunted at her. It didn't take long for me to figure it out. I no longer had the ITIC or the hand twitch. I held up my right hand and stared with amazement. It was rock steady. My hand immediately went up to my head and Lena started laughing. As I felt around for bandages, there were none. This laparoscopic, John. You of all people should have figured that out. I gave her an idiotic stare as if to question her. Up your nose, you idiot. And she laughed again. Over the next few months, I worked with the surgical department to get recertified. I decided to stay with the radiology department and just fill in if any gallbladder surgeries were required. Everybody was happy with the new arrangement. Lena and I moved in together and things went very well. Over the next 2 years, I think she would have liked to get married. But under the circumstances, she didn't want to push it. It was a warm summer afternoon, and I was sitting on the veranda with a bottle of Lancer's Rose. John, you have a guest. Lena paused for a moment. I'll be going down to the market for a while. She didn't wait for an answer. Hello, John. It's been a long time. It had been almost 4 years since I saw my wife. She still looked good, but a little tired around the eyes. Donna, you are looking well. Can I get you something to drink? The wine looks fine. She sat while I fetched a glass. We were silent for several moments. We chatted about the house, the weather, and her flight over. Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. Donna, why are you here? What do you want? I just wanted some closure. I want to wrap things up so we can move on. I need a few answers, and I feel that you do too. You refused to talk before. I think I understand why. I just need about 30 minutes or so. You flew 15 hours to talk for 30 minutes? I had to do it face to face. Okay, go ahead. After a year, I figured that you were not coming back. I sold the house and got a small apartment for Shelley and myself. This is a check for half of the house. She placed it on the table between us. I filed for divorce by abandonment. That took a year, but it is done and it is clean and clear. You are now free to do as you please. She placed a second document on the table. Shelley is engaged to be married in a couple of months and asked me to give you this invitation. She was hoping that you would be able to give her away. She completely understands if you decide not to do it. She realizes that her behavior was inappropriate the last few months and apologizes for it. The invitation joined the other papers. I wanted to thank you for the checks that you send to Shelley's college account every month. It really made a big difference. Under the circumstances, I didn't expect it. That one caught me by surprise. I never sent any checks. I did have an idea where they came from, however. Of course, I was hoping to find out exactly why you left. But I will understand if you refuse to tell me. If you still decide not to say anything, can I at least answer any questions for you? She paused and took a sip of the rose. I figured it was my turn to talk now. Donna, I did not want half of the house money, but if it makes you feel any better, I will gladly accept it. I didn't bother filing for a divorce because I had no intention of getting married again. However, things have changed now, so the divorce is appreciated. I understand. She is very beautiful. I do not think it would be appropriate for me to give Shelley away. At her wedding, I think that honor should go to her father. As I finished that sentence, Donna dropped her wine glass on the tile patio floor. There was a gasp as her mouth dropped open. I took a few minutes to clean up the glass, and such as she composed herself, she seemed to be struggling to come up with a reply. John, I don't mean to be a smartass **T or anything like that, and I am also not trying to be evasive or defensive, but who do you suggest I contact? How about one of the 3 guys that you had intimacy with the night that I had my attack? Luckily, she didn't have a glass in her hand this time. After about 30 seconds of incoherent babbling mixed with sobbing, she finally blurted out, "I think I made a mistake coming here. I was hoping for closure, but not like this. I think I should go." She started to get up, but I insisted on sitting her back down. "No, you don't. You opened this can of worms. Now finish what you started. You felt that by coming here open-handed, you were taking the high road. It was intended to make me feel like S***T for leaving and deserting my wife and daughter. Sorry, that dog doesn't hunt. Why don't you tell me all about it, including why you had the medical report covered up?" Just then, Lena came back and noticed what was going on. "Oh crap, John. What the hell did you do?" "Nothing. We were just talking about old times and she went to pieces." Lena took Donna inside the house and laid her on the sofa. She got a wet compress and some kind of pills which she gave her. I stayed out of the way. I was the bad guy. How the hell did that happen? I went to the kitchen and got a superbuck. The wine wasn't hacking it. "John, why don't I talk to her? Maybe she won't get so upset. You must have come on pretty heavy. Is there anything specific that you want me to ask her?" "Yeah, a couple of things. Some of them I already know the answers, but I would like to see if she verifies them. The others I just don't know. Ask her the names of the 3 guys she had intimacy with that night. Did she see them again? See if you can find out if there were any other guys and any other times. Just curious. Ask her why she had the medical report of my seizure covered up. Ask her why we didn't have any more kids." "Stop. Too much information. That's a bit of an overload. I'll do the best that I can. Why don't you go out on the patio and relax? Grab a couple more beers." I fell asleep and 2 hours later, Lena was shaking me awake. I gave her a sedative. She is in the guest bedroom for the rest of the night. Did anything productive come out of it? Once I got her started, I couldn't shut her up. The only thing she remembers about the 3 guys is that one of them was named Freddie. He was trying to get her to take some kind of drug, but she remembers that she kept refusing. She did not admit to telling him to drug you. I don't think she will ever admit that. So how was the intimacy? She didn't say, but from how she described it, it must have been pretty good. It looks like it was a one-off. I don't know why she did it. I couldn't get any hints about any other escapades. She never saw or heard from the guys again. She suspected that one of them was Shelley's father, but she never looked into it any further. She was afraid when Shelley got the DNA test kit at Christmas, but didn't know how to handle it. She assumed that you figured it out and that is why you left. Wow, good recap. That covers a lot of it. She also asked why you no longer had the eye tick or the twitch. I explained to her that it was an easy fix and should have been done years ago, except the diagnosis had been covered up for some reason. That triggered another sobbing episode, so I just left her alone. She should sleep until morning. It is hard to believe, but I used to love that woman. I always thought that love like that lived forever, but that is not true. I struggled for 15 years that I shouldn't have. All the attention and love that she shared with me over the years was just a way to cover up for her treachery. It wasn't love. John, you sound bitter. Lena, I have to leave for a few days. When Donna wakes up in the morning, can you see to it that she gets to the airport? Tell her that I will not attend Shelley's wedding. Also, let her know that the checks that she got came from Shelley's father, not me. Where will you go? I don't know. It will just be for a week or so. You will be here when I get back, right? Of course I will. Promise that you won't drink too much. Call me. And so ends that part of my life. I never did see or hear from Donna or Shelley again. Lena and I did not marry, but we did buy a nice little villa together just outside of Porto. I decided to take up oil painting after watching some Michael James Smith videos. I am actually getting pretty good. The villa did come with a nice little studio. Lena got me a DNA kit for Christmas. That's not funny. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Now start next story. Thank you for coming. My wife and I waved goodbye when our last guest left our porch. Every year, Amy and I regularly host a holiday party for our neighbors. The party started with just 4 couples and have gradually grown over the years. This year, there were more than 35 participants, and about a third of them didn't live nearby. I believe the increase in attendance is largely due to the increasingly intense consumption of alcohol and silly, late games that have become a long-awaited event. Each year, the games have become a bit more daring, but they've never gone too far. As with Amy and me, most of the participants were between 25 and 35 years old, and most had a couple of kids, so it wasn't exactly a wild and crazy group you might hang out with in college. They were just nice, hard-working young parents who needed to let their hair down for one night a year. The neighbor ladies always brought more food than any of the partygoers could eat, and we, along with all the husbands, made sure there was plenty of drinks. So, when a few neighbors started bringing friends from outside the neighborhood, it was nothing unusual. Up until this year, there was nothing unusual about it. This year, without telling me, my wife invited several of her colleagues to the party. Among those she invited was Ron Stevens. Ron was her partner in the external sales department of her company. They had worked together for the last 5 years and had grown very close. Perhaps a little too close, if my suspicions were correct. They often traveled together and attended weekly external sales conferences twice a year. Just a few days before the party, he had been the subject of some rather heated conversations in our family. His presence in my home would prevent me from enjoying the evening that I helped Amy tidy up the house and take out the trash. When I returned, she was just finishing up in the kitchen. It was time to confront her. So what made you think that inviting Ron and your other colleagues to our neighborhood party was a good idea? I like these people, so I thought it would be fun to invite them here. I think they all had a good time and got along well with everyone else. What's the problem? Really, Amy? You know how I feel about your relationship with that guy, and you invited him into my home. This is my home too, Mark. I can invite whoever I want in my party. I don't need your permission. So you think it's normal to put me in an awkward position by showcasing your boyfriend in front of your colleagues and our friends? You think I didn't notice the smirks on your colleagues' faces and the raised eyebrows? What are you talking about? I've told you 50 times. Ron is not my boyfriend. No one was smirking at you. This is just your ridiculous jealousy, and I'm sick of it. Do you think no one saw you sneaking upstairs with him? What were you doing, Amy? Why did you need to be alone upstairs with Mr. Wonderful? Go to hell. We didn't sneak upstairs, he needed the bathroom, and the one downstairs was occupied. I just showed him the guest bathroom. I was up there for no more than a minute or two. For God's sake, you're being ridiculous. Another lie. You were gone for over 30 minutes. I know because your shameless accomplice, Gail, was trying to keep me distracted, so I wouldn't notice you slipping away with Ron. I saw what she was doing, and that's why I was watching the time. You're insane. Gail was probably just trying to be friendly. Only God knows why she even bothered with you. I noticed she didn't respond to the accusation of lying. She was a skilled negotiator, but apparently a less skilled liar. Amy, surprising me by inviting your boyfriend here was a low blow and the last straw. I won't put up with your lies and disrespect anymore. I turned and started up the stairs while she hurled more lies and insults after me that I went to our bathroom and began gathering some of my toiletries. As I was putting my things into a bag, I dropped my deodorant. I bent down, and while rummaging through the trash to retrieve it, I caught a glint of gold foil. My heart sank, and my hand froze. I took a deep breath and grabbed the foil. Damn, it was a wrapper from Protection. Game over. I had a vasectomy after the birth of our second child, so I didn't need protection. Now I knew that everything I suspected was true. This adulteress was cheating on me. Amy burst through the open bathroom door, continuing to hurl insults and calling me paranoid that I stood with my back to her. Then slowly turned to face her, holding the foil wrapper in front of me. This isn't paranoia when it's the truth. Oh damn. Someone must have slipped that in as a joke. It's not what you think. I didn't do anything. Stop, just stop. Just stop lying. It's over, Amy. I've had enough. Don't dream of it. This isn't the end. This was a mistake. This wasn't part of my plan. Yeah, I know, you didn't plan for me to find evidence of your deceit. That was a big mistake. No, no, no. That's not what I meant. Please let me explain what happened. I think it's damn clear what happened. You slipped away from the party and slept with your boyfriend while I was downstairs entertaining your friends. Was it especially thrilling doing it in my house while I was downstairs? No, it wasn't like that at all. Please, baby, please let me explain. It wasn't what I planned. I stuffed the foil wrapper into my pocket. Amy stepped back as I squeezed past her. I heard her trying to follow me as I entered the guest bedroom and shut the door right in her face. I locked it just as she grabbed the handle. Mark, please, you have to let me explain. It's not what you think. Please, Mark, please open the door. You have to talk to me. Please open the door. I was sure she didn't know how to pick a lock, but just in case, I pushed a dresser against the door. Amy was banging on the door and begging me to open it until I turned on the TV and raised the volume. Falling asleep was hard. I replayed every time Amy had worked late, gone on late-night sales trips, and attended conferences. Had she been sleeping with Ron all this time? Damn. It hurt too much to imagine, but it seemed all too real. A tear rolled down my cheek, and my heart clenched as I thought about what I'd have to tell my little girls, that their mom and dad would be separating. Damn. How could she do this to our children? How could she be so selfish? What could have driven her to fall in love with another man? Was I a bad husband? Why? Why is this happening? Questions, doubts, pain, disappointment. It was agonizing. I hardly slept. It felt like only a few minutes had passed before the morning sun burst through the window, mocking me. I threw off the blanket and got out of bed. I had a lot to do this Sunday morning. I moved the dresser and stepped into the hallway. The door to her room was open. I leaned just far enough to see Amy still sprawled across the bed. I closed the door and headed to the guest bathroom to pull myself together. I got dressed and went to the kitchen for coffee. I had just taken my cup to the table when Amy walked in. She looked terrible, her eyes swollen, hair disheveled, nose red, and I guessed she was suffering from a hangover. But damn it, she still looked beautiful to me. My stomach clenched with another wave of pain. Damn, how could this happen to us? Just enough for a cup, please. Help yourself, I said, gesturing to the counter. Her coffee cup was already beside the coffee maker. I had poured exactly the right amount of skim milk she liked, just as I did every morning. Damn it, I hadn't even realized I'd done it. She poured herself coffee, brought it to the table, and sat across from me. Mark, I messed up. I thought I was being so clever. I thought it would teach you a lesson, but now I realize I ruined everything. I'm such a fool. I just wanted to shock you, but everything went sideways. I'm so sorry. You didn't deserve to be treated like this. You have every right to be angry with me. Well, thank you for giving me permission to be angry. That's so generous of you. You invite your boyfriend into my home, then go on to sleep with him, knowing the house is full of our friends and your colleagues. My God, it's really generous of you to let me be angry about that. No. Darling, please, let me explain from the beginning. A bit late to explain your plans, don't you think? I and all our neighbors had to watch you put your plan into action last night. Oh my God. Amy jumped up and rushed over to my chair. She grabbed one side of it, turning me away from the table, then quickly straddled me and wrapped her arms around my neck. Please, baby, you have to let me explain this, please. Just give me 5 minutes. Please, Mark. I pulled my head away from her face, from her lips, as she tried to kiss me on the cheek. As she pleaded with me, tears streamed down her face. I was so angry. I nearly stood up and pushed her off her cheating backside, but I knew I could never bring myself to physically hurt her. Even if she fully deserved it, I just couldn't do it. I mean, what kind of cowardly weakling would I be to harm a woman? I took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Fine, Amy, 5 minutes. Now please get off me. 5 minutes. And I'm not moving an inch. I can't risk you leaving before I tell you everything. I raised my left wrist and glanced at my watch. I know now that it was incredibly foolish, but everything last night was just a charade until that idiot Ron messed it all up. I raised an eyebrow. All right, you've been complaining about Ron for months. You kept saying you didn't trust him, and therefore you didn't believe I could handle that jerk. Even if I told you I had no sexual interest in him, you wouldn't believe me. It was like you thought I was some naive little teenage girl who couldn't resist a smooth-talking salesman. Ha! As if I'd ever fall for his lines or any other sleazy guy. Fine, I admit he did try to hit on me just like a lot of other guys. Heck, sometimes even some of my clients come on to me, thinking I might sweeten the deal just to make a sale. Mark, I'm not an idiot, I know how I look, and I know guys will always try, but I always say no. Sure, I've learned to say no with a nice smile to avoid bruising anyone's ego, but it's always a firm no. So, after what felt like the 40th or 50th time you started pestering me about some nonsense, I just got mad and decided to show you how foolish you were being. So I came up with a plan and asked Ron and Gail to help me. I knew you saw me going upstairs with Ron. In fact, we had to wait until you were busy filling the ice bowl so you'd be facing the stairs when we made our move. Gail was supposed to be so obvious that you'd immediately understand she was our distraction while we snuck upstairs. Everything went exactly as I planned. I led Ron to our room and sat him in your chair. I sat on the bed, waiting for you to burst in. After a few minutes, I realized you weren't coming to rescue me or confront me. At that moment, I was too drunk to understand how much I had hurt you. I guess I thought you had just given up on us, and I started to cry. Ron came over, pulled me into his arms, and let me cry on his shoulder. After a few minutes, I noticed he was stroking my back and my hair. I stopped crying and began to pull away from him, but he kissed me. I must have been a few seconds late in reacting, and he took it as a green light. His hand slid down my back, and he pressed himself against me. I pushed into his chest, and he broke the kiss but still pressed against me. I pushed harder, and we pulled away from each other. I growled at him and asked what the hell he was doing. He smirked and said, "Come on. I know the plan was just a ruse to lure me here. Well, now that we're here, let's get down to business." As he was talking, Ron dropped his pants. That idiot had already put on protection. I leaned down, took off my heel, and threw it at him, hitting him in the chest. He flinched and looked at me, finally noticing the anger on my face. Then he just turned and ran into the bathroom. He must have gotten rid of the protection, flushed it, and tossed the wrapper in the trash while he was in there. Baby, I had no idea that idiot would pull such a stunt. I told Gail what he did, and she tore into him and made him leave with her. I can call her, and she'll confirm everything. I just looked at her. Very slowly, I stood up, wrapped one arm around her, and lifted her off my lap. I let her go, took my cup, and walked over to the coffee maker. As I refilled my cup, she slipped up beside me. "Mark, please talk to me. I know you're angry about what I did, but I didn't cheat. I told you what happened. I never touched him. Like most of us, he was a little drunk last night and messed up. Kissing and making a scene was definitely not part of my plan. He's an idiot and I don't want to create any issues at work, but on Monday, Gail and I will make sure he pays for his stupidity." "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Will you ever be able to forgive me?" I studied her for a moment. "So, you're telling me that you staged your little secret walk up the stairs to make sure I would witness it. You expected me to be so furious that I'd rush up to our bedroom to stop my defiant wife from sleeping with her boyfriend on my bed. Then, when I burst into the room and found the two of you just sitting there innocently chatting, I suppose you planned to laugh and mock me for being a jealous husband. Let me guess, Gail was going to lead the rest of your colleagues up the stairs behind me so they could all join in laughing at your foolish, paranoid husband. Maybe the whole group would make such a scene that the rest of the party would rush over to see what was happening, and then all my friends and neighbors could join in the laughter at the jealous fool. So that was your plan. You thought that by humiliating me in front of everyone, you'd teach me once and for all to trust you and never doubt your loyalty to me? I just wanted you to finally see how wrong you were about Ron. How you kept jumping to the wrong conclusions and how much it hurt me when you believed those things about me. I guess I thought our little prank would be an effective way to show you just how wrong you were. So, when I didn't rush up the stairs and barge in on the two of you, it ruined your fun and made you so angry that you had to punish me in another way? So you came up with a perfect way to teach me a lesson, to show me who's in charge, to put me in my place. Amy turned pale. What do you mean? What lesson? What are you talking about? You know, that you actually let Ron have you on my bed while I was downstairs playing the gracious host. That must have been a truly delightful revenge for me ruining your plans. Oh, good Lord, here we go again. I told you what happened. Yes, you told me your version of what happened. Not the full version, since you left out a few details. I'm sure you and Gail spent a lot of time last night reworking that version to include just enough truth. Just enough to make it sound believable. I have no idea what you're talking about. Listen, Mark, I said I was wrong. Please, baby, let's just forget my stupid plan and stop fighting. Oh, I don't think so, I said, pulling a small plastic bag out of my pocket. This was your revenge. This is the part of your story you didn't tell me. This proves that I can't trust a word you've said. Amy looked at the bag, trying to see what was inside. I held it up, letting it sway slightly between my fingers. She squinted, then she saw it. I smiled, seeing the shock on her face. He really is an idiot. He tied it off before flushing. The trapped air bubble kept it floating. I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and found it still there in the toilet. That fool didn't even bother to check if it had gone down. Oh my God. Amy stared at me, her mouth open. Yes, I suppose that when I didn't fall for your little trap, you were so angry that when that idiot waved his protected self in front of you, you decided to teach me a lesson by actually sleeping with him on our bed. Then, after you had your fun with him, you realized I wasn't supposed to find out. So, you kicked him out of the house and later called Gail to work up the story you tried to sell me. I assumed Gail spent all morning spoon-feeding your version of events to your boyfriend. Amy lowered her head. I had the wrapper and the protection. She had no way to spin her cleaned-up version of what happened to explain it away. Defeated, she took a deep breath. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I lied to you. You're right, when you didn't rush upstairs, I lost my temper and wanted to punish you. I was just drunk enough to thoughtlessly let that idiot Ron have me, bent over our bed. It seemed like a good way to teach you a lesson. I know it was stupid, right? Damn, everything I did was stupid. My plan to put you in an awkward position was stupid. That idiot Ron was a fool. I really messed everything up. As she lowered her head and began to cry, I thought about what this meant for our future. Was this the end for us? Could I get past a one-time event born out of anger and frustration, emotions I had helped fuel with my constant doubts? Doubt, that gnawing feeling inside me that something was wrong. Months ago, I sensed that something had changed, that Amy had changed. But how? Why did I believe she was involved with Ron? Why was she willing to go to such lengths to make me see that Ron was never a threat? At least, not until she let her anger and intoxication get the better of her last night. And that she decided secretly sleeping with Ron was a fitting punishment for me ruining her plan. This was not the Amy I married. When did sex become so meaningless to her that she could use it as a symbolic punishment? Oh God, meaningless sex not for love, but for another purpose. Damn. I looked at her sobbing figure. She had become a skilled manipulator. Gail must have taught her the fine art of negotiation, using every advantage. Gail, her mentor, the woman who consistently outperformed all her male competitors. Gail, now aging, a divorced sales manager, had taken young Amy under her wing. Gail, notorious for her promiscuity, had shown Amy how to win every negotiation with her male clients. Damn, how could I have been so blind? I was so proud of her for suddenly taking the lead in sales. Over the past few years, she had received numerous awards and bonuses. Gail was her biggest cheerleader. The bonuses allowed us to start funding our kids' college and cover all our bills. But at what cost? Time for some answers. I began to clap slowly. Bravo, bravo. That was quite a performance. Such quick thinking. Gail trained you well. It didn't take you long to realize you'd lost the battle with Ron. So you bring me these tearful apologies, hoping I'll focus on your one mistake. A mistake you made in the heat of the moment, and with a bit of alcohol. A mistake you're almost certain you can convince the father of your children to forgive, for the kids' sake. I have to admit, it's a pretty good strategy. You know I'm hopelessly devoted to my girls and willing to do anything for them. So, you're counting on me being ready to set aside my outrage over this mistake, to avoid causing emotional pain to my innocent children. And why not? I mean, now you've confessed to your cruel plan to teach me a lesson by humiliating me. And you've admitted to the mistake you made in a drunken moment of distress when I ruined your plan. You've taken responsibility for it all and asked for my forgiveness. My God, what more could you have done? The tears stopped. Amy froze, studying my face, trying to read my unspoken thoughts. She didn't say a word, but I could almost see her mind racing, figuring out where this was going and how she might regain control of the situation. Amy, I believe what you told me about Ron and what happened at the party. I'm sorry I suspected you of having an affair with him. I'm now convinced that this incident was your only time with Ron. Yes, baby. It was the only time, I swear. It was a stupid mistake, and I promise I'll never have any kind of sexual contact with that idiot again. Please, honey, can't we just put all this behind us? I love you so much, please, baby, please. Even if I said I was willing to forgive your attempts to humiliate me and forgive the sex with another man in our marital bed, there's still the issue of everyone else. What? What do you mean, who else? I have to admit, it took me way too long to figure it out. As soon as I met Gail and heard all the rumors about her, I should have seen this coming, but I trusted you. Then later, when my gut kept telling me something was wrong, I thought it was Ron. I was wrong about Ron, but I had every reason to be worried about you. Didn't I? Worried? What do you mean by worried? I don't understand what you're talking about. I sighed tiredly and leaned back in my chair, shaking my head. I was so exhausted from the deception, the half-truths, the evasions. I didn't have any concrete proof of what she'd done, but I knew. Deep down, I knew I'd lost her months ago. My sweet love, the woman I'd hoped to love for the rest of my life, was gone. There's no doubt Gail showed her the path to wealth and rewards, but it was Amy who chose to walk that path. She willingly decided to break her vows and engage in infidelity. And for what? Her ego? A few extra dollars? Cheap thrills? Damn it, it doesn't matter why she did it. Amy, I know what you've been doing. I know how you've closed so many sales. I can't even begin to tell you how much it hurts to know what you've become. The shock on her face was all the confirmation I needed. It was brief, but I saw it before she could compose herself and smile at me. Mark, darling, I thought we were done with this nonsense. I admitted my one mistake with Ron, but I have no idea what you're talking about now. I don't know what you think you know, but I just want to stop all these crazy conversations and get on with our life. Now we need to pull ourselves together and go pick up your daughters. I know they love your parents, but I'm sure they missed their dad. So that's exactly what we did. I spent the rest of the day admiring my girls and thinking over my options. On Monday, I met with a lawyer and filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. My lawyer told me not to hold my breath or get my hopes up, but she still filed a petition requesting joint custody of the girls, with me as the primary custodian. I requested that Amy be served at work to make sure it caught Gail's attention. Midday, my phone rang just after I received confirmation that she'd been served. Mark, have you lost your mind? You're going to divorce me over that nonsense with Ron? It was meaningless, it was wrong, it was stupid, and we talked about all of it. Baby, you can't do this to our girls. You love them too much. Punish me any way you want, but please don't tear our family apart. I've already told you Ron is just a small part of this. I simply can't stay married to the woman you've become. More of this crazy talk. Baby, I'm worried about you. Obviously, you're struggling to come to terms with my foolish mistake. I get that, but this divorce talk could hurt our girls. We need to work through this. Maybe counseling would help us. Do you want me to set that up? Sign the papers, Amy. Then you'll be free to live your life however you want. The girls and I will be just fine on our own. They can stay with me while you travel, and you can see them as often as you like. Don't even think about it. There won't be any damn divorce. And I would never let you take my girls from me. You're gonna stop this nonsense right now. If you fight me on this, you'll regret it. Mark, I love you. Please don't make me fight you. An hour later, my phone rang. It was Gail. I'd been expecting her call. Tell your protege to sign the papers. It's your only option. She signs the agreement, the girls stay with me, and you can keep grooming her for your clients. Silly boy, you have no proof she's ever done anything besides that one time with Ron, and that had nothing to do with me. Come on, you seem smarter than that. I don't need proof. I just need to make this claim very loudly and publicly. She did it so often that I'm sure at least one of your competitors will be eager to spend the time and resources to find the evidence needed to file a complaint. That would trigger an investigation, and you certainly don't want an investigation right now, do you? Piece of shit. You'd really do this? You'd destroy her out of pure revenge. You know the girls will suffer too if anything comes out about their mother. She'll sign the papers or I'll go public. And Gail, if this goes public, I'll be sure to include your role in her training and mentorship. You coached her on how to become the new adulteress in sales for your company, taking your place since you're getting older. How do you think the board of directors would feel about that? Tell her to sign and she'll listen to you. My lawyer received the signed papers a week later. Amy moved into a nice apartment about 2 miles from our home. She sees the girls often and usually attends all their school and events. We rarely talk, and as far as I know, she's still using all her assets to close sales and win awards. A week ago, I saw Gail and Amy leaving a nice restaurant. I had just pulled into the parking lot when they walked up to the car. Gail opened the door, then turned back to Amy.